Hello and welcome to another episode of the Terry McGriff Show, man. Just happy to be here. Another blessed day with my illustrious co-host, Andre L. Sullivan. How you doing, Andre?
I'm good, man. My hair look like Don King. You know, I'm doing. It's an okay day.
Only in America, brother. Only in America. I got me a little butterscotch. I want to have a little sweet tooth today, man. And I'm also, if you can notice, I'm rocking the Legacy Bowl champion Wasatch Warrior. They had me a T-shirt from the Legacy Bowl event that we did in South Dakota, so I wanted to pay them some tribute. Hoping to get a T-shirt from the 8-woman champion, the West Palm Beach Coyotes. That's a wonderful team, man. London Day, I hope I can get them two teams together to play each other. But, man, it was just been a wonderful week. We were in full throttle with this NFL. You know, you got training camp in full bore. We had the Hall of Fame weekend this past weekend, a whole bunch of stuff going on. The finals of the Olympics. I mean, and crazy thing why I found out about that, we had a lot of Olympians right here in the Jacksonville area that's living in this area that participated in the Olympics in Tokyo and won medals. So it was pretty interesting to find out about that. So congratulate to all those good folks. It was just wonderful weekend so far. Just a little bit of tragic news. We wanted to, I want to pay tribute to the great Bobby Bowden, and just a couple other things we want to talk about today. But first of all, I'd like to tell everybody, all of our fans, if you like this content that we're doing, please hit that like button. Also, please subscribe to our channel. And most importantly, just patronize our vendors, Team Sportswear Direct. Also, watch game film. If you got some ladies who wants to play some real good football, let's come into the Women's Tackle Football League. Also, the DEMP Project. And last not but least, Laces Out. All my good friends over there. Wanted to just get into our topics today. You know, I know we all got a lot of stuff to do as we're recording this show, so I want to make sure. Well, first thing I'm going to do, how's football camp going on over there with you at school?
Man, it's great. Another season at Young Kids in Motion Academy, gearing up to play here in about 2 weeks. So it's fun off university. Yeah,
I feel you, man. School is just ramped up real quick. I mean, today in Duval County, I know it's the first day of all the public schools. So in Georgia, they already started. A lot of schools already started. Usually it used to be the day where nobody started until right after Labor Day, but those are no longer the case. Especially now with different things now. I know we're talking about there's a big tropical depression working out there in the ocean, might be headed Florida's way. Hopefully we won't have any bad weather this weekend, but you never know. But one of the things I wanted to get into was get into our topics real quick. And one of the main things I wanted to do is, like I said, pay tribute to the great Bobby Bowden, who passed away on this past Sunday. I want to get this, especially you. I know your condolences to all FSU Nation, all the players and people he touched. I got some good friends that I know played for him. And condolences to everybody in the Florida State Nation, the Bowden family. Everybody, just wanted to send our heartfelt prayers and condolences to all of those folks and everybody over there. He was a great, great man. Unfortunately, in my day, I never got the privilege to mention him, but one of my good friends did play for him, who was one of the Fab Five. He was recruited. I was recruited by the other team down south, those Canes, but, it was just the way it worked out. I was a big Bobby Bowden fan growing up, and we'll talk into that. Next thing I wanted to talk about when I was talking about our show topics tonight, I wanted to talk about this so-called thing with the Jaguars are doing with Gardner Minshew, giving him starting reps with the ones and truly trying to keep with this concept of competition between Gardner Minshew and Trevor Lawrence. And last but not least, we're going to continue our preview. We got this one and one more division after this with the NFL previews as we're getting into training camp. And this week we'll be previewing the NFC West. So I probably think that's probably the toughest division in the NFL right now, but we'll get into that. So let's get started. Like I said, with all can do condolences, prayers, thoughts, well wishes to the FSU Nation, FSU family, the Bowden family, and all those who came in contact with this great, great man. I'm going to give you the particulars of getting his stats, even though I kind of broke them up, but I know he is the Seminole fan. I want you to, tell me your thoughts about how you felt about Coach Bowden, and just give him some tribute because, he touched a lot of people, including myself. I remember as a kid, going up watching the Bobby Bowden show. That was one of the things that helped me fall in love, in the early 80s, when he took over the Florida State program after 1976 season. So I'm going to stop that because I'll ramble, and you go ahead and tell me about Coach Bowden and what you thought.
Listen, man, there's a plethora of coaches in, college football history who, if they just sat down and started spewing all of the knowledge that they had, we'd be here for days. I think not only would you put Bowden on that list, but if Bowden started talking football, we'd probably be here for a semester.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how good he was. I want everyone to remember there was a movie that came out. It wasn't even about FSU or West Virginia. It was about Marshall. We are Marshall, and the tragedy that happened there. And there's a scene in that movie where the head coach of Marshall goes up to West Virginia because he has no clue how to run the ball and no clue how to even install an offense. And the coach that he speaks to is none other than Bobby Bowden, who at the time was the head coach for West Virginia. And by the way, West Virginia and Marshall were deep rivals at the time, and
still are.
That speaks to volume to the volume of the class act that Bobby Bowden was. He was one of the first coaches who said, you have to separate church and state, and a lot of coaches didn't understand that concept at the time. And what he means, what happens on this football field between this 120 yards, that's where it happens. Everything that happens off of it is your life. And I think people tend to forget that almost. And Coach Bowden never forgot that. Coach Bowden was one of the first people to start bringing in more than a few African-American players into his program. Bowden was noted saying, if they can play football, then they can play for me. And I think people forget. And then you get into his stats. First of all, Bowden was a wide receiver coach at Florida State before he was a head coach. And I don't know if a lot of people knew this, but Bobby Bowden did for 1 year play football for Alabama. Under the great coach that is Alabama, but then he transferred to Sanford, and it just went on from there. Head coach for West Virginia from 1970 to 75, then from 1976 to 2009. I want people to put that into perspective for us. That's basically some people's lifetime. Like 1976 to 2009. Ran the program that is known as Florida State University. Listen, and then we get into 2 national titles, one in 93 and one in 99, 12 ACC championships, the Bobby Dowd Coach of the Year Award, Walter Camp Coach of the Year Award, a Stag Award in 11. And hear this. And this is what it gets me. His overall bowl record is 21-10. His overall coaching record is 377 with 129 losses and 4 draws. Listen, people, that's not accidental. That's not, we just lucked into this. That's coaching. That you don't just luck into 377 wins. And then you take away his stats, and then you talk about the person that Bobby Bowden was. When your enemy, when your rival coaches speak well on your name, what more do you say? Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier said God got himself a coach. He's probably getting ready to get the Angel team ready for their championship up there now. You know what I mean? Steve Spurrier talking about him, and the University of Miami sending out flowers to Bobby Bowden. This is Bobby Bowden, the guy who changed the tide of that Miami Florida State rivalry there. People, I need them to understand. I need everyone just to get an understanding of that. There's only one person outside of the mascot Chief Osceola who's been allowed to put that spear down in the middle of the field, and that was Bobby Bowden. And I know that's a little to people who aren't Florida State fans, but that spear in and of itself is almost like somebody trying to touch the
Holy Grail.
Holy Grail, the documents that our forefathers signed for the country. You know what I mean? Like you don't touch that.
Bill of Rights, all that. Yep. Constitution.
You don't do stuff like that. You're not allowed to touch that, and there's only one person there allowed to do it. And it wasn't even in Tallahassee. It was right here in Jacksonville, Florida.
Declaration of Independence. Yep, you get you.
It was right here in Jacksonville, Florida, where Bobby Bowden last touched that spear and threw it down in the middle of the field to begin a Florida State game against, by the way, West Virginia. Mm-hmm. So I think people, we can go on and I could spew on and on about who Bobby Bowden was as a coach and who he was as a man. But I think the biggest thing that Bobby Bowden left was that football is football. And let me read the quote directly. I apologize. Football is football. Doesn't matter how we dress it up, it's still going to be football. 11 people are going to play against 11 people. The bigger goal is for the men who play that game to be better men once they leave that field.
Mm. Yeah, you're 100% right. And great words about what you're saying about Coach Bowden. I'm going to give you a little bit of me. I mean, at my age right now, I'm 53 going on 54 years old, and as a kid, he was one of the inspirations to not just play, but want to get into coaching once my playing days were done, because he inspired you. I mean, just watching his show, where he talked about his players when they had the highlights of the Bobby Bowden show, you were like, man, one day I wish I could play for him. You know what I mean? One day, you look to have your name called, and not only would he call your name, he would say something about your family. Well, I know I've been recruiting this kid from Chipley, Florida or something. I mean, and you're talking about if you're a small town kid, that made you feel good. Your parents, and then people would talk about it in school today, so and so and so. That's how you learned about those guys. A good friend, a classmate of mine named Terry Anthony played for him, was one of the Fab Five out of Daytona Beach, Florida. And I remember me and Terry got cut on the same middle school team. That's how good our middle school team, but we had some outstanding athletes playing on that team. And we didn't see ourselves at that time being great athletes, that we end up turning out pretty good. He had a much better career than I did. I ended up being military. But he would make you want to play for him. So, and the thing about his motto that I loved about it, he would play anybody, anytime, anywhere, especially building that program. He would travel to play. He was the UCF before UCF started all this stuff. He would go to Nebraska, to Ohio State, and go challenge them to play them, and then go there and win in those places that they said you could not win in. And some of the great innovations he had, like the way he would do trick plays, his special teams, all those type of things. He was innovative, and he was ahead of his time, and he was very instrumental to the coaches of this day. There is no coach, I don't care who he is, would have walked up to Coach Bowden and say, would have said Bobby. He would say, "Hey, Coach Bowden," or "Hey, Coach, how you doing?" And this is one person you didn't have to put respect on their name. You automatically put respect on when you said Bobby Bowden. And most of the time, if you like me, you said the great Coach Bobby Bowden. So I mean, he not only earned your respect what he did on the field, but where he lived his life as a man. I mean, you looked at him as the great grandfather. You know what I mean? And parents believed him. And he said he gonna take care of your kid. He was gonna take care of your kid. So he made it easier, and that's one of the reasons right now, even though they've won one national championship, that program has not been the same since he's left there. hopefully one day it will be, because as a Gator fan, you love it when your rival's really, really good. And hopefully they'll get there soon under Coach Norvell. But Bobby Bowden is the icon of Florida State athletics. He is the Bear Bryant of Florida State. He is the Joe Paterno of Florida State. Any great coach at any great university sports, he is the guy. He is the standard bearer for all time at Florida State. Every coach that ever puts on a whistle as the head coach of that university will forever be compared to the great Bobby Bowden. And it's not just his record that you got to compare yourself to. It's your impact on these men and women's lives. Everybody that he come in contact with came back as a better player. And it doesn't matter who you were. He made you feel special. And one of the things, you ain't got to worry where he going. He in heaven. It's not like, you think, no, Bobby Bowden already in heaven. So for me, I don't mourn his losing. I mourn that I won't get to see him on an interview or anything like that. I mourn that I won't get to meet him and shake his hand. But I don't grieve for him far as, Lord have mercy. No, man, that man, he up there chilling. He already done got his reward. He probably hanging out with God. Jesus said, man, let me tell you what, I remember watching you coach down, blah, 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 blah. They probably talking it up right now. They probably still pulling his ear, so, I just wanted to take a time and celebrate the greatness that was and that still is Bobby Bowden and what he's left here. I always tell people, when I leave here, I want a lot of good stuff put on my headstone. That man ain't got to worry about that. You think about the celebration of life that they're going to have of 2 to 3 days starting this weekend, and the outpouring of love for him and his family. He's earned that. And I wish that his family, I know they're going to really be lost and grieving the loss of him, but I also thinking that they're really going to be, can walk around very proud for the father that they left that's going up to heaven right now. So let's get into another subject. Let's talk a little bit of Jaguars football here, my friend. You were there. I was there Sunday, and at the mock game. We won't call it a scrimmage because it was what it says it was. It was a mock game. And we talked about the Gardner Minshew. We talked about Trevor Lawrence being the number 1 pick in the draft, and we talked about how Coach has decided that every position is open for competition. Urban Meyer has said that from day one, and I like the fact that competition makes everybody better. I also like the fact that nobody's given a job, including Trevor Lawrence. But my take on this, with all due respect to that being a coach, when it comes to the quarterback position, the old saying, if you have more than one, you don't have one. And I know how you feel about it, but from what I've seen in the mock game and in the different couple of practices and hearing some other reporters talk about it besides yourself, I think the competition is over. Trevor Lawrence is by far a better quarterback than Gardner Minshew and C.J. Beathard. I think it's time to give most of the reps to get this young man prepared for this season, because for the fact is, you look at the beginning of the schedule, the Jaguars have a really good opportunity of starting out at least 4-2. And I want him to have every opportunity to get as much experience before that first regular season game as possible. I could care less if you start anybody else in those first couple of preseason games. But when it comes to working with the ones, the man who's going to be pulling the trigger on September 4th need to be the man with the first team. Now, I get it. I get competition. Don't give this kid nothing. I get it. I get that. But I can tell you right now, the veterans know who the man is. All the rookies know who the man is. Let's quit the charade with this one. And I think this man as clearly needs to do his work. I'm not saying don't give Gardner or the other guys no work with the ones, but the lion's share of work with the ones need to go with the guy who you're going to ride with. He's the franchise quarterback for this team and will be for the next 10 to 12 years if God wills and we don't have any injuries or anything like that. So I'm going to hear your take on it. I already know, but go ahead.
I'm gonna read. So, because I'm a member of the Jacksonville beat, if you will, we get a lot of their press conferences and things that they say during their press conferences. I'm gonna read a direct line from Urban Meyer. Says, and I quote, when asked about what he thought of Trevor Lawrence's and Gardner Minshew's performances during the scrimmage on Sunday, Urban Meyer had this to say. Gardner Minshew is obviously a veteran. He showed that a lot of the things we did on Sunday was reversed. So what that meant is, they started at the one a lot for Trevor Lawrence. They started at the one a lot for Gardner on Saturday. He went on to say this. There were some throws that I'm sorry, I'm reading it. So there were some throws that I absolutely hated from Trevor. Yes, I understand he's a rookie, but if we're going to keep touting him as the guy, he has to throw like the guy. And because of that, it's still an open competition. And I understand everyone thinks that's very cliche to say, but it's not cliche here, especially when I'm the guy picking the positions. Now listen, I get it. Coach, you love Trevor Lawrence, and he made some pretty good throws this past Sunday. But this is what I want everyone to realize. He's a rookie. Let's stop trying to get him to escape those rookie experiences, like fighting for your position, learning playbooks, going through the rigmarole it is to get that starting job. Yeah, they drafted him number one. And you use the term charade. There's no charade here. He is fighting for that job because there were some throws that I saw from Trevor Lawrence that were good, but they could have been great had they went other places. And that is the thing that Urban Meyer wants to be getting. And listen, I was always down on Urban Meyer being selected here. Here's the one thing that I like from Urban Meyer as a coach. He's not settling for okay. He wants the best. What I saw from Trevor Lawrence from Sunday was okay. And don't get me wrong, he's still a great quarterback. He's going to be good. I'd be stupid to say otherwise. But what I saw from him Sunday was okay. Urban Meyer's not accepting okay. He's not. If this is the minimum, he's not taking it. You're either going to surpass it or you're not. Here's the thing. They still have a 90-man roster. There are guys that are being worked in and everything. No one's missing reps here. I say, and here's the thing. You use the term I a lot. Saying, if I was the guy doing it, and I listen, if we learn anything from the play Hamilton, he said, and I quote, it doesn't matter who lives or dies, but who tells your story. As long as Urban Meyer's in charge over there at 1 TIA Bankfield Place, he's going to do as he chooses to do so. Listen, here's what you got to realize right now. Number one, DJ Chark is on COVID restriction. Number two, Marvin Jones Jr. has been a healthy scratch. He did not even participate in that scrimmage. Laviska Shenault has been running the X position throughout these past 2 weeks. Getting Laquan Treadwell in there, getting a lot of guys in. His number ones aren't there. What are we rushing? I'm trying to get everyone from the Jacksonville media. Look, Gardner Minshew's number two. Obviously, we need to put Trevor Lawrence in as number one. Yeah, you guys. Their first preseason game is this Saturday. Chill. There's a lot of preseason left. There's a lot of camp left. Why are we throwing him into the fire to get burnt? I specifically remember about 6 years ago them doing that with another quarterback that they drafted number 3 overall, and that turned out amazingly. I'm just saying, listen, you guys. Listen, people, I think that we have to, one, calm down. And as coaches, we say all the time, let the coaches coach and spectators spectate. And yes, they're bringing him along slowly as far as we can see. But I know for a fact that quarterback room, Trevor Lawrence sits up front. Because that's been said in media interviews over and over again. I know for a fact that Trevor Lawrence is getting reps. He not missing no meals, people. I think we need to understand that. He's not missing. He's getting fed. Are they going to bring him along slowly? Yes. Who will be the starter come week 1? Trevor Lawrence. Guess what? We're about 4 weeks out from that. It's okay.
Okay, I take your point. But that's what, and I think that's probably why me and some other people I know in the media have said that, because talent-wise, not even close. There's nobody on the roster that close to the ability. And you're right, there were some throws that I would probably said, okay, you probably should have made this decision better now, and I get it. But my whole thing, I'm taking the Peyton Manning thing. When you're a guy that you know is going to be great. This is, and I understand what you're saying when you're talking about people like Blake Bortles or Blaine Gabbert, who are also high draft picks and things of that nature. But they are not the caliber, not even in the stratosphere or any other field you want to as this young man, talent-wise. No. They might be of the similar build, but ability, his play history, the man is a straight winner. He's not a convert from tight end that's learning the quarterback position. He's not coming from this, some halfway decent SEC school that might be. He's been a contender everywhere he's been, and he is so good that he had a pretty good veteran that was ahead of him. He took his job in his freshman year and took that team to a national title and been in the playoffs every year he's been in college. He is a special type player. And I was wanting him to get as many reps as possible to keep him safe. And I understand getting the other guys work, but that's my point. It's not like that they got guys on the roster that's behind it who are not veterans. And that's why I was saying that, because Gardner Minshew has played a lot of football. C.J. Beathard has played a lot of football. And with them being the backups, and we're knowing they're going to be the backups, if they ain't good enough to get their mental reps and be ready to come out there and play the game, we don't need them anyway. I need this guy that we know is going to be the franchise, is getting as much experience on the field as possible. This is just one humble coach's opinion, just like you gave me yours. I know what Gardner Minshew can do. I've seen him play since his rookie year. I know what he can do. If he will probably be, if not the best, one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league for a long time to come. And that would be a wonderful position to have Gardner Minshew to back up Trevor Lawrence, because in a tight, this guy can keep you competitive until this young man returns. What I also want you to understand is we know who the starter is. We know this young man needs experience. And the only substitute for experience is experience. And I want him to be out there getting as much of it as possible and let those other guys get the experience of the roles that they're going to have as being backups. And I get what you're saying. I understand you saying his starters are not in there. I get that. I understand that. But like I said, that great throw probably was off script. It probably, when he made that 45-yard play where he rolled out and went across his body, that probably was not off script. I think that was just a thing for the fans to make sure that everybody can see what he can do with his arm and his athletic ability. But as you're saying, he was making mistakes. And the only way to get him ready is let him get out there and practice and make those mistakes so that they can correct them. Worrying about what somebody else thinking with the and trying to keep the rest of the guys ready or say we're going to compete. I don't think there's, just like you, I don't think there's anybody that believes that Trevor Lawrence is not going to be the day one starter. And then if he isn't and he loses his job, what does that say about this front office and what does it say about him? And that's my concern. I think I get it, trying to bring the young man along slowly, but he's not that type of kind. I put him in the class of Peyton Manning. You get him ready to be ready for game one and let him make his mistakes, because 2 to 3 years around the road, I want him to have as much of the experience as Gardner Minshew have with getting all the reps. That way he can be our Peyton Manning or our franchise quarterback that this franchise has never had, because he will take us to heights in this city that this city has never seen.
That's great. If I was writing like a Hallmark card, that'd be awesome to put on there. But my biggest issue is, and I'll leave it at that, is hear me out, people. Ryan Leaf was touted to be the Chargers Jesus. If I remember
don't you even dare.
If I remember correctly,
don't you do it.
There was this guy from LSU. There was a guy from LSU who went to the Raiders.
No.
Oh my God.
No.
But and I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence is those people. What I'm saying is, you guys, we have
shame.
a serious issue as fans, not letting coaches coach. And listen, I think football coaching is probably one of the only, sports coaching is one of the only few professions where the people who don't do it have the most commentary about it. And listen,
I'm a coach.
No, listen, not I'm just saying in general. But what I'm saying is, Urban Meyer has a plan. Urban Meyer has a plan for his guy. He got his guy. Here's the thing, fans. You got the guy you guys wanted coaching. Cool. You got the guy that you wanted quarterback. Great. Now let them work.
Point taken. I can live with that. I can live with that. I just, for the sake of, and we already know, so it's really not a big deal, but I don't want, I guess maybe because I am a Minshew fan, I don't want this guy realistically thinking that he's competing for a job that he has no shot at winning. He has no shot at winning. He's not going to be the quarterback. And this is no disrespect for Gardner Minshew. I think he is a good professional quarterback. I just don't believe that he is a franchise quarterback. Can he win games for this team? Of course he can. He's done that already. I guarantee you, if he would have had a halfway decent defense last season, we would not have Trevor Lawrence on this roster, because his way he moved the ball would have been good enough had we had a competent defense. Thank God we didn't. Thank God that we had what we had last year that made us bad enough to get this young man to have a franchise quarterback. So this is just my personal opinion. I want to pay the man respect for what he's done and letting him understand that, hey, yes, you're going to be an integral part of this organization for years to come. If you choose to, I think they should compensate this man when it's time for him to come up as one of the top tier backup quarterbacks in the league. And if he decides that he feels like he can go somewhere else and start, do him fairly and put him in a position to maybe trade him to a place where he can have an opportunity to start. But with that being said, I do not see him as the savior of a franchise. He is not that. He is not that. And Sunday was my final word watching him, even like you say, the inverted things, where he seemed like he had the easier scenario. There's just certain things he couldn't do. I seen him get passes batted down. And that's just lack of his physical ability. With that offensive line that the Jaguars have would average 6'5", I think the runt of the starting offensive line is A.J. Cannon. He's only 6'3". Trevor Lawrence, 6'6". I think he's barely over 6 foot, if that. He can't see over the line. Normally, you see in your lanes, and that's how you throw in the passing lane. He doesn't have to worry about that because he can see over the line and through the openings. So he has a better vision of the field. And with his greater athletic ability and a lot of his time, his better decision-making, which will even get better as he gets more reps. That's why I say go ahead and give him more reps. That's what the starter. He will only improve. And that's not to say Gardner Minshew will not improve. But the ability of the two is so drastically and so apparent, you cannot say this guy has a chance to beat this other guy out. It's just like saying I got a chance of beating out LeBron if I was in great shape in his age. Not a prayer. Not at 5'9", you're not going to take LeBron's position. It's just saying, it's, you know what I mean? Me coaching you, you know, me and you was at the same time. I wouldn't have been able to play over you because of the physical abilities we had at that time. You was just that your size just wouldn't, you know, it just made it. Well, no, this guy's the better guy. Well, what I heard a great boxing term. I don't know if it was Lennox Lewis or I can't think of one, but he says a good big man always beats a good little man every time. And I believe that, you know what I mean, of the same ability and skill level, a bigger guy is going to beat the smaller guy at every time. And so my whole thing, and it's not disrespecting Gardner Minshew, it's in all due respect to Gardner Minshew. You know what you are to this franchise. Let's treat you as such. Let's compensate you as such and get you ready to do backup stuff and let this young man get ready to lead this franchise into the playoffs, if not this year, at least into the future. But you did make some great points, so I understand. And I do understand what you're saying about letting the coach, because that's what I would want somebody to do, let me coach my team the way I want to. So I get that. So don't think I didn't hear you. Okay. On to our final subject and topic of the day, of this show at least. We're previewing the best, in my opinion, the top division in the NFL, the NFC West. Boy, oh boy, this is going to be fun. Think about it. You got, with the Rams, with their trade, you got 4 of the top quarterbacks in the NFL in this division, and a really good one. Everybody has a good quality starter in this division, and overall pretty good teams. Can this be the first time that 4 teams from one division get into the playoffs?
Possibly.
No, I'm gonna let you start off with this because I mean I'm intrigued to hear what you got to say, because this is really hard to pick one of these teams in this division.
That's interesting. Let me start off by saying, just debunking something you just said. You said 4 of the top quarterbacks. Not
top tier, but I mean they all got quality starters.
Okay, I see Russell Wilson. Jimmy G, possible Trey Lance situation there. My guy down there in Arizona.
Yep. You're not gonna pick on the man like that. He's been to Pro Bowls.
Has he been to playoffs?
Yes, one time.
I rest my case. But listen, people.
But his coach got fired after that, so.
Did he get fired? Listen, I mean, I can't really argue. This is one of the best divisions in all of NFL. Not even for what they do on the offensive side of the ball. If you look at these teams, they play great defense. I'll start with the 49ers. They're just 2 seasons removed from a Super Bowl, and they still got their quarterback. I mean, they're gonna have a little issue with, choosing a quarterback here the next coming weeks in the seasons. But I mean, right now they reloaded and they're doing well. They have one of the best tight ends in George Kittle.
Kittles and bits. That's what I call him.
In all of the NFL, who probably is very underrated, but even so, but still, they play good football. And then you got the Cardinals. Listen. Whew. If you have DeAndre Hopkins, look, hear me out. I'm going to go on a rant for a little bit, but not long, I promise. There's this game as kids we play called hot ball. You just throw the ball up. Whoever comes down with it, you try to run it back. They do half of that in the NFL. You just throw the ball up, and whoever comes down with it hopefully is in the end zone. If I'm playing hot ball, I'm picking DeAndre Hopkins every time. to just poop because no one does it better than him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No one does it better than him. And then you got the Seahawks, who, in spite of themselves, keep finding ways to win.
I love that.
Like the whole gripe that Aaron Rodgers has in Green Bay. I'm surprised. It's not Russell Wilson's personality to do that, but if he wanted to, he could do that in Seattle. Because good God, he has no protection, and week in and week out, he just finds ways to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the Rams. Holy crap. This defense is ridiculous. I don't get it. You get Aaron Donald.
I got to stop you. You. So you just not going to give my boy Stafford no love.
Let me get to it. I'm on the Rams now. Okay. Let me get to it.
You dissed him at the beginning of your take, so I was just like, really? Okay.
Let me get to it. This Aaron Donald first is Aaron Donald. There's not a combo center guard that has yet been able to put a hold on him. And that's scary. Then you get to the secondary. There's a young man who hails from Tennessee by way of Florida State University named Jalen Ramsey, who now wears number 5.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Number 5 is alive.
The boy, listen, he talked that talk, but he can back it up too. It's the reason why he don't wear his mouthpiece. Because no one has been able to shut him up yet. And now he gets to play in a division where he gets to see AJ Green twice a year.
There's going to be some fighting up here.
I'll personally tune in for those games myself. Mm-hmm. But yeah, on offense, I mean, they got Stafford.
What?
They got Stafford.
You just can't say nothing good about it, can you?
I mean, listen, I'm not a Stafford hater by no means, but you traded an emerging okay quarterback for an older okay quarterback. And I just it was like when you're kids and your mom buys you a red popsicle and then your friend mom buy him a blue popsicle and you're like, hey, you want to trade? I like blue, I like red, here you go, swap.
Yeah.
And nothing against the guy, but he hasn't been making noise since Megatron. And now he's in the Hall of Fame. He had Marvin Jones last year and Galloway.
Yeah, I get your point.
Now, and this is me not saying that he's not a guy who can't make this team go. That's not it. I mean, if he's manageable, this defense will keep you in the hunt alone by themselves. But I mean, right now, until further notice, this division belongs to the Seattle Seahawks, unless, God forbid, Russell Wilson goes down.
Well, my thing with it, and I'm gonna start with right where you left off with the Rams. I want to know who's gonna run the ball. Is it gonna be my boy, my compatriot, one of my good friends, Otis Anderson, that coached with me at Duval Charter? His son hails from UCF. Is he gonna get that starting job? Because he'll be a rookie with the Rams. Darrell Henderson, I guess, who played some time with them last year to help that. Who is going to run the rock? Are they going to bring in a veteran? You know the defense is going to be good. You had your say about Matt Stafford. I'm going to pretty much leave that alone because I think it was a lateral move myself. I don't see them with a dynamic number one pass catcher. And did they make the playoffs last year?
They did.
Okay, what happened?
They did bounce first round.
Okay, all right. So with that number one defense, and you got a lateral move at the quarterback position, and you lost your top running back, I don't see you getting better. So we're going to move on from that. All right. Who got better in this tough division? I'm going to go with my second and then my top team that got better. My second team that got better was the Arizona Cardinals. You bring in some veteran presence to help Chandler Jones on the defensive line when you brought in J.J. Watt. Okay. You kept, I think you gave, did some money and gave Buda Baker a little bit of money, which makes him happy back there. You got an emerging all-everything linebacker / defensive back that's going to be good. And then you brought in, this guy that was an all-pro for years named A.J. Green. So in case you double or triple DeAndre Hopkins, which don't really matter anyway because he can catch over a triple. But you got a viable, another deep threat along with, some other options that the Cardinals got that people don't talk about on this wide receiver core. Mainly this young man that I really like named Christian Kirk. It's going to be one of the better number twos, which basically you got a 2 Alpha and a 2 Bravo, out there. So they got some good running backs, and you got one of the most young, dynamic, playmaking quarterbacks in the game. He is, I'm trying to figure out the best way to word this. He can do everything that this young man over there in Baltimore can do as far as running the ball with maybe not as much speed, but he can pass the ball accurately. So he can beat you with his legs and his arm.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
And he can do pinpoint passing with his arm on the run. And so their offensive line, which got better because they brought in a whole bunch of upgrades on the offensive line, which will only help the running game, which will only help him stand in the pocket and carve you up even more with an upgraded defense, where I see the Arizona Cardinals making a jump to maybe the second best team in this division, if not the winner, depending on how things roll out. Now, the team that I see make the biggest jump would be the San Francisco 49ers. For number one, you lit holy hellfire under a veteran quarterback that was basically one misplaced throw from being a Super Bowl champion. And you say, guess what? We brought this young kid in here to make sure you do what all you can do. First of all, to have the number one ability that any player has to have, which is called availability. So if you keep getting hurt, we got your backup right here, and you may not see the field again if this boy, So you might have to play through some pain and do some things that you normally wasn't doing before because you figured we needed you. Secondly, all those guys that got hurt on that team last year are back. And they were known for basically running the ball down your throat, whether you knew it was coming or not. And you had an pretty accurate quarterback with one of the best tight ends and a very, very underrated receiving core. People don't get that. That receiving core was underrated. I know the tight end got most of the love, but the receiving core was very, very underrated. And I'm going to name a couple of names. Let me look at my little laptop right here. And I want just to tell you a couple of these guys that people that's sleeping on. Okay. Your boy is over there now. I think he got cut, but your boy, Travis Benjamin. No, he ain't your boy because he's a Miami Hurricane, but But there's this young man named Debo Samuel can play. There's another wily veteran over there named Mohamed Sanu.
That's where he landed.
That can play. And there's this other young man that probably finally got the right place to be. That was a former first-round pick that people don't know, named Kevin White. Played for Chicago Bears. That they got some talent over there that people don't know. And then think about it. Kevin White is finally with a quarterback who's halfway accurate. He ain't played with a decent quarterback his whole career in Chicago. So now he's going to be able to, if he stays healthy with the ability, because remember, he coming out into the draft, people thought he had some of the best abilities since Randy Moss with his deep speed and his jumping ability. Imagine these guys, especially with Debo out there, because Debo going to draw the majority of cover, and you can't do them, and you got Kittle roaming the middle. and they're going to run the ball. So their play action pass game is going to be just on crazy. And that's what people don't see, because they're one of the best play action pass teams because they run the ball so well. So that's why I'm saying they're going to be back. Not to mention, we ain't even got to the defense yet, and all the guys that coming back off of injury, which was the number one defense when they were there. So this team right now, if they can stay healthy, I'm ascending them back to the top of that division with Seattle number 2 and the Cardinals pushing for that number 2 position. So my thing is, I see that they upgraded even better, and not to mention, I forgot all about this. They added one of the most wily veteran centers that people forgot about, and Alex Mack, to an already really good run game. So that's one of the reasons I look at them. They've had, without going through the free agency, but the big name free agency market, they've really upgraded their roster, plus bringing all those injured players back. If they stay healthy, I predict them to win the division, because the one thing if a team can know they can run it down your throat, there ain't much you can do to stop them. You know what I mean? And that's how they got there. And with that defense, they're going to be good. Last but not least, and we'll ready to close this show out with this. The Seattle Seahawks is the enigma of all enigmas. They got a quarterback that everybody say shouldn't be that good because he's too short. They got another wide receiver who's too short, but how does this little guy get deep pass back and make all these, what I mean? How does these Asian defensive linemen, all these Asian players they put in on defense, and all these guys they bring in and out every year seem to make plays? Who is their offensive line? Who on their offensive line that besides Dwayne Brown? But all this team seems to do is make plays and win ball games. Year in, year out. Year in, year out. So until they have a consecutive years of down ball where you can say they ain't got no talent no more, I can't count them out. And because if you don't, you bet against them if you want to. You're gonna lose some money and you're gonna be embarrassed. So, I'm not even going to go there, because if I was to quote a bunch of names outside the guys you already know, you wouldn't even know who they was anyway. And they've had some losses like Shaquille Griffin and Shaquem Griffin, the free agency, a couple of linebackers. But it doesn't seem to matter with this team. Every year, they find a way to beat you. So, like I say, that's why we started this segment with, this is probably the best division in the NFL. And if you didn't have nothing but watch these 4 teams play every year, all season, you'd be pretty much entertained, because they got stars, they got playmakers everywhere on each team. And just to watching the end of the division battle games is going to be prime time watching, in my own opinion myself. Think about it. And once again, I go back and pose the question to you. Is it possible that this could be the first, especially with the expanded playoff and 17 games, but now you got 7 teams in each conference playing? Is it possible that all 4 of these teams make the playoffs?
Can't call it, Coach. Can't call it.
But could you see it? I'm saying, could it be possible? Do you think they could? They're all good teams. Somebody's going to have to lose. They're all good teams. What was the Cardinals missed it last year, and they were 7-9? Yeah, and because they had a late lost a couple of games in the division at the end of the season, that cost them making the playoffs.
Cardinals were 8-8.
Oh, the Cardinals were 8-8, and they didn't make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even look what the record was. So the Seahawks won the division, correct?
Correct.
The Rams made it as the wild card.
Seahawks were 12-4, won the division. Rams made it as a wild card at 10-6. Cardinals 8-8. 49ers 6-10.
With all the injuries, they were still 6-10. 2 games from being 500. That ought to tell you everything you need to know about that division. Well, my friend, I appreciate you. Once again, folks, if you enjoyed this show, please hit that like button. Also, subscribe to our channel. And last but not least, please patronize our sponsors, Team Sportswear Direct, the doggone best sports apparel you can get in the nation, customized to your liking. You will not find anything better in the country or on the planet than Team Sportswear Direct customized uniform. She Card was one of our good friends. Also, Watch Game Film. Better than Huddle, in my opinion. You can share with Huddle. And last but not least, I'd like to pay respect to all those women, especially our Legacy Bowl champion, the Wasatch Warriors here, also the West Palm Beach Coyotes, and all the women and men of the Women's Tackle Football League. Last but not least, I'd like to say homage to my boys over there at Laces Out, and much respect to all the great work that they're doing over there at the Depth Project. And once again, if you like our show, please hit that like button, hit subscribe. But you can come back right here next week when we have our next show here on the Terry McGriff Show. And for my illustrious co-host, Andre L. Sullivan, my great producer, Grandma Vuli Fowler, we're All Sports Hot. We will see you again on this same channel next week. Y'all be blessed.